And this is Changing Times, Changing Worlds, bringing you Otherworldly, our Wednesday show, which is to give you a hint of what the conference panels and workshops are like. We hope to enlighten and enliven your night, open your eyes to hidden aspects of reality, and let you meet some really wonderful people. I am Chipicon, I'm the host, and tonight my guest is an old friend, the Reverend Corbie Mitleid, who I knew long ago when we were both running around being gorgeous young women in medieval clothing. And then we grew up and turned psychic.
So, the world happened, yes, that is correct.
Corbie is a certified professional tarot master and a psychic, trained medium, ordained minister. She speaks at holistic expos and seminars and does individual sessions with clients worldwide. And you can check out her website verbally in case you're watching this on YouTube later. Corbie, C-O-R-B-I-E, Mitlied, MITLEID.com. All one word there except for the .com. Learn about tarot and oracle cards and divination and spirit guides and past lives, and she even coaches new age businesses. So, wow. But tonight I asked her to talk about being one of the top psychics in America, and especially since so many people who come to Changing Times, Changing Worlds do readings for other people. Whether you call yourself a professional psychic or not, well, she's doing it in a way that seems to work. So let's go to her wisdom and find out what she can teach us all about that. Let's hold the questions until she said a few things. Okay, that was your introduction. Is there anything important I left out?
Yeah, you mispronounced the last name. It's Mitlied.
Mitlied?
Yes,
okay, I'm going to write that down.
ID is lied in German. L-I-D is lead. So,
okay.
And the name is a chosen name. Chipicon knows my legal name, which I refer to my Reginald Dwight, and Corbie Mitleid is like Elton John. I feel it's important to do because when I was reading under my real name and I was just using my landline, I would get calls at 3 a.m. from drunks that would say, "Hey, the bitch left. Is she coming back, or can I fuck the girl down the street? She's hot." You don't need that at 3 a.m. So I now read under my entertainment name, and the phone number everyone has is my cell phone, which gets turned off. That is simple survival, guys. Really, really.
Well, that's a very good first tip.
Oh, I've got all the good stories for you tonight.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm just finishing writing that down. I actually did a reading for somebody yesterday, and it was a mutual friend. My daughter came in. I started to say, "Oh," and she was, "Wait a minute, sorry, it was a reading. I can't tell you." And which my daughter says, "Good for you, mother. You remembered this time."
Yes, one of the reasons that we don't get trusted is because people feel we read their heads as they walk by in the frozen pizza aisle. B, we'll tell anybody what we did. And so one of the reasons I'm a reverend is it gives them the idea this is like the confessional. I do not discuss what went on here unless you give permission. If they do, sometimes with changed names, I'll use the past life stuff I do on my website, for instance. But no, these readings are people putting their heart and soul and fears and anxieties on the table. You don't use them for your amusement any more than a priest should have a recording in a confessional and they get back to the monastery and they go, "Hey, psst, listen to this." No, you just don't do that. So.
Let's see what other things that, well, You just mentioned your past lives thing, which is something that I don't do a lot. But for me, it's always been that I don't know other people who do it, but I never know who's listening who might.
There are other people who
Talk a little bit about it, because it sounds really useful.
Okay.
At least I was listening to one of your shows, and it sounded like you're really helping people.
It does help. I'm not someone who generally just pulls past lives for you. If you said, I don't know, find me some past lives, it's like, no. Because if we spend all our time looking at our past lives like we're watching a movie with popcorn, what are you doing in this life? When I do past life galleries, which I prefer to mediumship galleries, I'll say, okay, give me an obsession, a phobia, a country you either love or hate that makes no sense. Like, I'm Scots-Irish, why do I have this thing about Peru? And I can get past lives quickly. But something like a soul plan reading is much different. That's what I did for Robert Schwartz in his book series. There was a woman last night who wanted to know why her wonderful, brilliant, gorgeous daughter died of breast cancer at age 32. Okay. In order for me to get that information and not seem flip, I basically go into deep trance meditation for hours, and I'll pull down past lives, or I'll channel a message from this person's higher self. I was able to do that last night and give the mother wonderful closure, and also help the twin sister that felt like she had failed the sister that died and she didn't do enough. Something like that, it's valuable. But we're coming in living our lives now. And for all the people who say, well, I can't do that, is something wrong? We all have different talents, like you've got pulmonologists and endocrinologists and surgeons and pediatricians. Spirit looks at us and rifles through our information and says, oh, you got this and this and this, and you like this, and you can do this. That's where we're going to put you. For instance, why do I do past lives? Theater major at Brown. Words are my drug of choice. I love telling stories, and I'm a history freak. I mean, my husband and I met at the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome because we both loved World War I aviation. As he said, there was this gorgeous brunette who knew the difference between a Fokker DR-1 and an F-1 based on the wing skids. I had to marry her. Okay. So when somebody asks for a past life from me as opposed to someone else might say, well, you were a woman that time, and I see you in a big hat and a long skirt, so I know it's old fashioned. Me, I'm going to be able to go, okay, hobble skirt, picture hat, that kind of ostrich feather. You're standing in front of the Brandenburg Gate. I think we're talking Berlin in 1911. On the other hand, there are some people who are brilliant at using a pendulum. I have a slight benign tremor in one hand. I can't trust it, so I can't use a pendulum. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means it's not my wheelhouse. And it's one of the things I really try to encourage with the younger ones, that find your thing. Maybe you do spirit art. Maybe you are a medium. I mean, the best medium I ever knew was my buddy, the late great Allie Cheslick here in Albany. We called her Chatty Cathy of the Dead. You push a button and you could not stop Allie. She's brilliant. Can I get dead people? Yes, but I do it differently. So find what you love. Don't think you have to do everything. You're allowed to specialize, and someone will need what your specialty is. No comparison stuff. Comparison never does any good for you.
I'm likely to tell people it's like an artistic talent. Just because you can paint doesn't mean you can sculpt. Just because you're musical doesn't mean you're mathematical or whatever. But we each have to figure out what we do and make it work for us. You can't. I see this a lot with people say, oh, you're psychic. And going back to what you were saying about you are, it's like, oh, you must be reading my mind all the time. or challenging you to read your mind. It's like, yes,
Oh,
yes, my
here's
reaction.
psychic. Here. No, I don't read palms, honey. You know.
I do.
And the other thing, when I used to do 45 weekends a year on the road every year. I mean, my nickname was the Travel Channel. And people would come up to me at a psychic fair and they'd go, all right, tell me something you couldn't know about me. And if you're right, I'll have a reading with you. And I would look at them and smile and say, I'm sorry, I don't roll over and fetch either. And I would turn my back and they would not get a reading. You treat me with respect, you get a reading. You don't, I won't. I'm not a trick dog. Lean over my table while I'm eating lunch and say, my wife wants a reading now. You can eat later. Honey, so not happening. Chipicon will understand the secret code when I say I go all Countess Tam on him. But
I think somebody else hears that too.
What?
Yeah.
I think somebody else recognizes that too.
Yes. For those of you who don't understand,
we feel
Tom
that
and I
way.
were both in the SCA, and I was a countess at the point. But that's when I was in my 20s.
My kids do that though. My kids will, if somebody comes up and say, "Oh my God, this is so worth what you're selling, and I really want it, and I don't have enough money for it," they're more likely to discount. If somebody says, "Well, you can take something off that," we know everything is always higher. It's like, no, it's not. And they say, "Well, that's not perfect. It's not great." If you start putting down my stuff, I don't want to sell it to you anyway. So again, this is the artist, broke artist syndrome.
Yeah. But money in I've got a couple of books, and both of them are important for psychics. One is the literal business book. One is really good for people who want intuitive guidance but don't want to be readers themselves. But a lot of people that are psychic said, God, I wish I had this when I was starting. The key is we are worth money. We are. Whether we're $10 in Jackson Square in New Orleans or however much, we're worth getting paid. And there are people who will say to us, why don't you do a reading for half price? You're just sitting around. Or can me and my girlfriend come in and have a reading, but we only pay for one? Or why don't you give me a free reading and I'll tell everybody you're good? Or, gee, I'd really like a reading. And they stare at you, waiting for you to offer them a free one. Or, what do you mean you're charging for a reading? Your gift is from God. You're not very spiritual. And I just say, all right, flip it. You would not say to the hairdresser, you just standing around, why don't you cut my hair for half price? You wouldn't say to the plumber, why don't you put in my dishwasher and fix my shower, but I only pay you for one service call? Why don't you clean my house for free? And if you're good, I'll tell everybody else. I really want to wear that dress for a party and stare at the woman who owns the dress store. Or to your doctor, what do you mean you won't cure me for free? You just want me to die. You're not very compassionate. And when you give them those examples, they look at you like you're crazy. I say, it's the same thing. And sometimes dawn will break over Marblehead. Now, when someone says they really want a reading, but they can't afford it, occasionally, Spirit right there will go, psst, psst, give them a reading anyway. That's fine, pro bono. But with other people, I go, look, I can't read you for free here. This is my business. It costs me a lot to show up at a psychic fair, but this I will do. If you call me at thus and such a time on this date, I will do a pro bono reading for you. I can do that 8 times at a psychic fair. One will take advantage of that and call, because the other ones just wanted to see if they could get it for free. I held up my end of the bargain, but they didn't take advantage. I have no guilt whatsoever. Because
that's really important. I want, can you double down on that? Make sure everybody hears it.
Yes, people think that because this is a spiritual gift, we should give it away. Well, yes. In the 5th century in Ireland, it was for free. Why? Because the village treasured their seer or their druid, and they would feed them and they would clothe them and they would give them housing. They don't do that now. So we have to fend for ourselves. And that's one of the things. There are so many incredible psychics out there who feel so guilty about money. Boom, don't you dare. You've got to learn to take care of yourself, which is why, here it is. When I came off the road, because at 66, all those weekends, I wrote you this. You can get this on Amazon. It is everything that I know. It starts with which expos to choose, how to design your booth, what to wear, how to hire your front person, how to network, how to deal with your colleagues. Because not everybody is friendly, darlings. This is not Kumbaya on a Hallmark movie. There are some intuitives out there who think if you get a reading, I don't get one. Like there are 8 billion people in the world. I can't read them all. There's lots of room for everybody else. So they do what I call bitchcraft. An example, she's dead now. Won't even use her name though, but there was a woman who used to read on the same circuit that I did. And she had a table next to me. And she was hearing me read the Riot Act to my client. What she didn't know is this client comes to me every year with the same questions. And I tell her the same things and she never makes a difference. And I was going to be like a good bartender. I was cutting her off. I was saying, you don't listen. I give you these recordings and you don't play them. Why are you wasting your money and my time? Well, this upset this woman so much that she went around to all the other psychics saying what a bitch I was and I didn't deserve to be at the show, but never to me. And she was eavesdropping on another person's client. That is unprofessional to the nth degree. So that's why one of the most important lessons I'm going to teach you is just because somebody else reads doesn't mean they're your friend. They can be your colleague. But friendship is earned. Friendship is earned.
Can you give us the name of that book for those of us who can't see the screen real well?
Yes. Oh, yes. It is called You've Got the Magic. Who Needs a Genie? The A-Lister's Guide to Holistic Expo Success. I know, I come up with great titles. I really do. And the other book, which is basically for all your friends to teach them how to get a decent reading by being a good client. That one is called The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, How to Find the Real Wizards and Avoid the Flying Monkeys. Those are the two that I specifically wrote for psychics. So, other things, I'm picking and through here. If you're going to read publicly, especially at psychic fairs, you've got to have a children's deck. Even if you don't, like I say, I don't read for kids. Unless they're an indigo or a crystal and they really want to know a little bit about how they work. I don't want to tell the kid whether she's going to pass history and go to the prom. Don't waste your money or my time on that either. But guaranteed, somebody is going to sit with me with their little 3-year-old Rootzin in their lap, who's all over my table. Mommy, what a card, mommy. And she goes, please, can the kid pull a card? If all you have is your tarot deck, what are you going to do when the kid goes and pulls the card and you get to go, oh, look, Muffin, death. You're not going to do that. You'll have nightmares. So I have a children's deck. It is called Cat Wisdom because I'm a cat mom. And it has little cute pictures of kitties. And there is nothing scary. And the little kid can pull a card and I will give the kid a tiny little reading and the kid is fine and the mother is going, and the kid is not going to have nightmares. Okay. These are the kind of things that you don't think about when you say, well, I'm going to go read. Look at how I'm dressed. This is my basic look, especially in the summer. This is the McCall's pattern, and it makes butterfly coats. And I've got half a dozen of them, and they get thrown in the wash. What's this? It's a black tank top and black pants and a good looking coat. Boom. I look professional. There are too many people who think that the Madame Hoo-ha thing means you have to wear a turban and more jewelry than an elephant in an Indian wedding and look like Madame Hoo-ha. You can, but you have to, it's the old saying, you have to look like money to make money. This is not expensive, but it makes me look professional. And if you've got a lineup of people, some of whom are in tattered costumes, there are some women who love reading in the shirts with the puffy and the glitter on them and unicorns. And then there's me. The serious people with the serious money are going to come to me. Now, I'm going to be an absolute adorable bitch, and I'm going to point to my friend Michaela right here. She is a perfect example of what you look like. See, she's young enough, she can wear the makeup. I'm a little older. But when she does her videos, that's what it looks like. When she's in her booth, that's what it looks like. There is no doubt that this is a professional woman who knows what she's doing, okay? Is it fair because some people are fabulous readers and they don't gussy up? No, it's not fair, but that's the business world. And I want you all to be ridiculously successful in it. And it isn't hard. There are just a few things you're going to have to do, because especially now, people walk into a psychic fair who have no idea what we are or what we do. All they know is bad B movies and solitaire from Live and Let Die. So you have to come across as someone you know who knows what they're doing. Chipikan, am I making sense here?
You're making sense. I remember when you were at Changing Times, Changing Worlds, and I said, yeah, like I'm dressed to read, and you said, I don't like what you're wearing. My feeling is everybody should dress in what makes them comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, they look at that, and the people who are perfectly willing to drop $100 at a reading are more likely to pick you than they are to pick me. I am more likely, just as I was at a waitress in a freaking uniform, to self-select for all of the people who couldn't afford to tip. All the people who were just had enough to get the cheapest burger, mm-hmm. I got them all. And the other waitresses were saying, why can't you tell that those people can't afford to give you a tip? And I'd say, I look at them and I see people who need help. I see somebody who is being ignored and I need to help them. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is self-selecting, and I dress for the people. The way I dress brings in the people that I get, and the way you dress brings in the way people you get. And if people want to get some of the people who think of $100 as chump change, they had better dress like you do, not like I do.
Well, the other thing is,
and get the hair done. And
what it costs to do a show these days is insane. Okay, let's take, I used to do a 4-day show in Kitchener, Ontario, which I loved. But that's a 9-hour drive. So Thursday in the car, 7 a.m., drive, hit my B&B in Kitchener Thursday night. Friday, load in at noon. I read 3 to 9, 10 to 9, 10 to 9, and 10 to 6. Then loaded out, drove 8 hours home. Got food, you've got gas, you've got tolls, you've got the B&B for 4 nights, you've got the booth fee, you've got to pay your front person. So yeah, you're going to charge, and you need to be ready to charge that in, because the thing is, if you just charge a little bit, a lot of people will think you're not worth it, which is wrong, but it's the way they go. And, you know, I wish that I could say, no, that isn't really where it is, but it is. And if you are a good intuitive, by God, you deserve to make a living at it if you want to. But you can't be afraid of charging or giving your booth the look or yourself the look so that people are willing to pay you. That's not greed. That is knowing who your audience is. When they go into one of those things, I do a lecture called Psychics 101, The Good, the Bad, and the Cleos. And I teach people how to do a psychic fair, okay? And I tell them they have to be good puppies. Hang on one second, because I have to get audiovisual aids. All right, so how are they good puppies? The first thing they do is they do their walkies. And that's when they go around and they look at everything, but they don't talk to anybody yet. Then they get paper trained. All of us should have a rack card or a flyer. These are not that expensive to get anymore. They look really fancy, but they're not that expensive to get. And people will grab these and then they'll go and they'll read through, and maybe there will be 3 or 4 people that they come back to. And what I tell them is, of course, if I'm not busy, you can talk to me, but I can tell you I'm wonderful and that doesn't count. And I hire my front person to say they love me. I mean, my very first one was Laura Spickerman. We love Laura. She was my husband's office manager Monday through Friday, and I got her weekends. Do you think she's going to dismiss as museum director? No, she's not gonna. So what you need on your table is a testimonial book. These are comments from people that have had readings, and people will flip through. Are we good? Are we kind? Are we funny? Do we have specialties, children, dogs, dead people? Would they come back? Because the last thing they're going to do is check in here. And if the psychic doesn't feel like they have a brain in their head, they really give a damn about what they're doing, or they're going to give good information, the people are not going to go there. So this is everything when you are in a psychic fair or an expo that is running through the client's mind. And it's one of the reasons why, yeah, you can set up a booth with a tablecloth and a hand lettered sign. But what are you going to look like when everybody else has a professionally done sign and a real tablecloth and information? It's simply the way it is. And it's one of the reasons when rookies, I know somebody is new at a show, I'll say, come on over to my booth and I'll show them everything I've done and I'll help them and I'll make suggestions. And I've been told more than once, why are you helping the competition? And I just laugh. I've been reading since I'm 18, I'm 66. They are not competition for me. But if I can raise the rookies right, that means when I am gone, good intuitive counseling will still be out there. And we need to think about the next generations. We really do. So sorry, you hit one of my hot buttons.
Well, you kind of hit one for me too. I was at the now it's the Rhode Island Renaissance Fair. Is the most expensive Ren fair in America, but the SCA was invited for free eye wash when they were just opening. And they didn't have any, their fortune teller crapped out on them. So they said, oh my God, we haven't got a fortune teller. I said, no problem, we have soothsayers here. I came back in subsequent weeks and the next year to read, to do soothsaying there. And it was kind of fun. But at the end of the day, I would always have a line. I had nobody between 10 and noon, but at 6 o'clock, there would be a long line of people waiting. And so I told them, I said, you need more soothsayers. The one thing that at every fair, people, they want to see a show, they want to get something to eat, they want a trinket to buy, and they want to get their fortune told. You need more soothsayers so that you have a more successful thing. And I said, no, all you have to do is double your price. And I said, but that won't give you more happy customers. And they said, no, well, the other soothsayer is perfectly willing to do that. And I don't like that attitude. it it there's room for all of us.
Mhm.
There are so many people who will get a reading from a medium and then get a reading from a palmist and then get a reading from the rune master and then get a reading from the
Yes.
dowser, and there's room for everybody. When people are insatiable.
Mhm.
They want more information.
Or they want to find someone who is going to tell them what they want to hear.
Absolutely, that was the other point, but I'd
Yeah.
like you to make it.
Um,
How do you deal with that client?
Sometimes it's hard. It's what I call the does Bruce love me client. And they will beat on you. Does Bruce love me? No. Well, is he gonna love me? Not the way you want. Well, if I do such and such, is he gonna love me? No, he's not. Well, is he gonna call soon? No, he's not. Well, if he's not gonna call soon, he's gonna call later. And they keep twisting the question, hoping that eventually you'll go, yes, yes, he loves you and he wants 7 babies with you, but he just doesn't know it yet. Oh, good, I thought so. You wanna slap them. You just do. You have to just say, yeah, you have to bust them. Say, look, Muffin, I know that you want me to tell you that Bruce loves you and wants 7 babies with you, but you're paying me for the truth, not the answer you want. And he doesn't love you. And then if, oh my God, she's such a bitchy psychic and they leave, well, blessings on your journey, honey.
And you don't have to deal with them again.
Exactly. But look, the most important thing is tell them truly what you see and keep your ego out of it and trust it. Back to Kitchener. There was a woman, there was some challenges that I told her about. And she gets up from my table and she says, you suck. And she walks away. Who's the first one back in my chair the next time we're there? She sits down. She goes, last time I said you sucked. I said, yes, I remember. Because you told me that I was going to take an aborter and then I was going to sell my house. And I thought that was all bullshit. But then my daughter got pregnant and moved home. And now I'm going to sell my house to help raise my grandson. And I still don't like you, but I want to know what else you see. Don't shoot the messenger. You're going to get that, which is why you can't let your ego get involved in the readings. You just can't. If you see that they're going to buy a plaid rutabaga that rides a fire engine, you just say it and you let spirit figure out what that means. So.
Sadly, I know this deeply because I have been that client.
Mhm.
Right after my husband died,
Mhm.
I was trying to figure out what to do to make a living.
Mhm.
So I went to a bunch of psychics. I went to actually six psychics, and I asked them, I have these talents, which one can I make money on? And they said, well, you just pick one. And I went to the second psychic and the third psychic and the fourth psychic, and they all kept saying, just pick one. And it was at the 6th psychic, I suddenly burst out laughing and said, no, I'm doing what they all do. Because I would try and work out a new way of phrasing it to get them to pick one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the role of the soothsayer is not to make decisions for you. It's to give information so you can make decisions for yourself. And I knew this. I was over 50. I knew that. I've been reading for 30 years myself. And I was that person.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, but I want people to know that even people
we
who've
do
been
it.
doing it for a while occasionally have that blind spot.
Now talking about how to do questions, I don't encourage yes or no questions because it gives them no place to go. For instance, if somebody says to me, is my new business going to be successful? I go all Brooklyn at them and say, all right, and what if I said no, and you're going to lose everything and live in a box under a bridge? What are you going to do then? And they go, So I say, let's look at the pieces. So let's say they were going to open up a crystal shop. Instead of 3 or 4 cards, wait until January and fire the redhead. Because I've done executive recruiting, I know how a business gets put together. So there's a card for them, If they have a partner, there's a card for the partner. A card for the energy around the business. A card for the brick and mortar location. How to market it. Their clients, their competition, staff, if they're going to have staff, finances, what they need to know, and best possible outcome. Now, that is a multi-card spread. Number one, it really makes us look like we know our stuff, and it gives them more information so that they feel empowered and they can see where the pitfalls are or what they're really going to rock and roll with, and they leave with a rocket pack on their back. If somebody has the "does Bruce love me" question, it's a card for them, a card for Bruce, a card for the partnership as it stands, what they need to know, and best possible outcome. I don't know if I should stay with him though. Okay, fine. 3 threes. 3 cards, status quo. You do nothing, but you kind of bumble along. 3 cards for the come to Jesus meeting, where you guys do some serious counseling, and 3 cards for hostile bye-bye. It's been nice. I'll send you a postcard, but I'm so out of here. Many years ago, I used to joke and say, you can't shoot them. You only have these 3. These days, you do not use that phrase. But unless they tell me that they're battered or they are in danger, even if I see leaving is the smart thing to do, and they go, I guess I'll just stick it out, zip. Because if you say, no, you have to do that, you've gone from an intuitive consultant to an advice column, and you have taken away their ability to use their free will. It's hard sometimes, but you do it. You break that rule if they're talking about being battered. And if they come to you and they have a disease that you have had, you may want to give them some feelings on how to handle it. But other than that, you're very careful that you don't just become an agony aunt, as they used to say in the 20s, and advise, because that's not what the cards are doing. That's not what the pendulum is doing. You have to keep your ego out of it, and it's hard because sometimes you want to whack them upside the head with a clue brick, and you're not allowed to. And that's tough. That's the difference between the fake gypsies and the good readers. Now, what are the fake gypsies? There are real gypsies in Roma, but y'all know there are the ones that put on the headscarf and the jingling jewelry and the long skirt, and they do the bad accent, and they can be gypsy. And I literally saw this in Toronto. It was 250 booths. And a woman was walking down between us, and the fake gypsy runs out and grabs her arm. And in psychic fair parlance, that's known as hooking. And it's as bad as the other kind of hooking. And she says to the woman she grabs, oh, you don't need to pay $30, $40, $50. I read your palm for 10. Come. Drags the woman into her booth behind a curtain. About 20 minutes later, all of us on the other side of the aisle see this woman leaving, crying hysterically. And we run over to find out what happened. One of those gypsies. Oh, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4? You have dog? $50 every family member, 25 for a dog. He's small, we fix. And she told the woman that if she didn't burn 400 specially blessed candles at the Roman Catholic Church, I bless real good, only $1 candle. Her entire family was going to die in an accident in 2 weeks. And the woman bought it.
Oh.
That's why we have to be like Caesar's wife. We have to be the best of the best of the best, because we have to counter those idiots, those cheats. I can't tell you how many people have come to me after that kind of thing has happened. And, I can teach them afterwards and it never happens again, but I can't get back their hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's the bad stuff that we real readers are up against. And that's why we have to be better than we should have to be, if that makes sense.
I hate that they still exist, but
They do.
I mean, as with anything else, they are making the rules that are handicapping us come from trying to control them.
Yep.
So, I had a question.
Does anybody,
right.
You have 7 participants. Do they have questions? Please throw them up.
Yeah. Okay. Is anybody who's listening?
How do you define?
All I can say is I testify to what you're saying. I was a professional reader like
Thank you.
25 years ago, and I just got a better job.
I had too much fun with this, you know. Besides, at
I
66 was the
I
height.
didn't fit the mold. Being a young guy, you know, it just I was up in upstate New York, and I moved down here 26 years ago.
Where in
That's all.
upstate Arkansas?
I was in the Albany area.
Schoharie County. Hey, brother.
Yeah, I was, you know, there's Saratoga, Albany.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm down in Atlanta. So.
Anywhere
and
near the Big Chicken?
Huh?
Anywhere near the Big Chicken?
No, I'm about an hour away.
See, I used to live in Marietta, Georgia, 92 to 99, and I can still give you directions in Marietta by the Big Chicken.
Yeah,
I
I live up and coming.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
I'm retired. I'm, you know, wrote a book myself and looking at getting back and doing stuff. So
Go check out Phoenix and Dragon and see if they need new readers. Still one of the greatest New Age bookstores I've ever known. Somebody else had a question. Because two people started talking. Who's the other person?
Lois, did you have a question?
I did, but I think I'm going to change it.
Go ahead.
How would you
Mhm.
do readings in an area where, okay, I live in North Carolina.
Mhm.
I hesitate to let on that I do readings.
Mhm. You
Have
need to
you
get
dealt with
yourself
that
a reverend.
situation?
You need
Or
to become a non-denominational reverend. That I became a rev in
I already
2000
am.
for 2 reasons. All right, then you're cool. Number one, before it became the law of the land, if I had friends who batted for the same team and they wanted sacred ceremony, by God, I was going to give it to them. Number two, South and Mason-Dixon line, I have been to. You're telling fortunes and we think that's illegal down here. I said, oh no, sir. I'm a reverend, so this is pastoral counseling. Oh, I'm so sorry, Rev. I shouldn't have said one thing. You go right ahead. That's what we do. We do
Okay.
pastoral counseling when we are south of the Mason-Dixon line, honey. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think I need to get myself some updated cards.
Yep. Yeah, you do. I know that my stuff is Order of Melchizedek, Sanctuary of the Beloved. That's Dan Chesbro's people. So it's, you know, not Universalist church. It was legit. And I always use Reverend Corbie. It makes a difference. People who are really Christian will still find a way to trust me. You know, it's you got to play their game. You just do. But no, being a reverend, having a reverend title is a protection in red states. It just is.
Okay, and Tripicon, can you add into the chat so I can pick it up later? If Corbie, if you can give the name of that church, that
Yep, I'm putting it in
organization.
right now.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm not on video because I'm also not at my computer. I'm in my hospital bed in Kernersville, North Carolina.
Got it.
But I wanted to see this show.
You
There you
may or
go.
may not remember,
Wanted to
but
see this show.
under another name, Lois Fitzpatrick was the first head of the East Kingdom Soothsayers Guild. And
Gotcha.
so,
Okay.
yeah, you may have known Elena, but yeah, it's
No, I was not the first head of it, dear. I was
You
not
weren't?
the first. No, Jane.
Jane was
Jane
the
or
first.
you? Mhm.
Jane-
No, I
wasn't-
organized it, but when we started the guild, I thought that you were the first. I didn't feel organized enough.
No, I was the one who set up the website.
I thought you were the head of the guild. Could have been Jane, but anyway, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
we're here picking the brain of somebody with a lot of experience. And your story about the hooking kind of, what happens if you get a psychic flash about somebody, and how do you decide whether you should be sharing that or not if they have not come to you and said, could you do a reading for me? But you say, oh, shoot, they ought to know this.
Okay, you do what they do at Lilydale, okay? Lilydale spiritualists might come to you and say, excuse me, Chipicon, but my name is Reverend Michael Brown, and I'm a spiritualist. I believe I have a message for you. May I come to you? That's what it is, formal. And if you say no, it's no. Because if you say, but I have to tell you, that's like the Long Island medium walking up to somebody at the deli counter and saying, excuse me, your Aunt Doris says your back tire is bald and you're going to die in an accident if you don't get it fixed. Just telling you, and walks away. Who the fuck is that? How do you know that you can trust this person? When someone says that my message trumps your boundaries, it's ego. And the message is not as important. And what I tell my clients is, if someone comes up to you and does that, you go, I refuse the message. I do not want to hear from you. And if they keep trying, you go to the manager of the store, because that's harassment. That's it.
Okay,
You've got to do it.
Information.
You have to, because that's what makes people afraid of us. That we have no boundaries, that we do not respect theirs, and we will scare them for our own reasons.
I think that's probably one of the things that scares them the most, the idea that we can find out anything about them magically. And it's like,
Right.
no, we can't. We get these occasional hints.
But the thing is, it also for healers. I mean, I don't know what I do. All of a sudden one day, you know, the universe with the fairy godmother went, wang, you can do hands-on healing. I said, fine. But if I see somebody is really in pain from a migraine, I will walk up to them and say, look, sometimes I can relieve pain. Would you like me to try for you? And they say no, it's no. Too many times someone has said, let me help you. And I've said no, and they keep coming at me, hands like this, until I back up and say, get out of here, stop it. And because that is the only tone of voice that will wake them up out of the, I've got to do this. And they go, you're not very spiritual. You're so bitchy. Well, you're coming into my energy and you want to take it when I've said no. We have got to respect boundaries. Got to respect boundaries, theirs and ours.
I love the analogy of, you don't heal without permission. You don't read without permission.
That's right.
You don't freaking give somebody a hug without permission.
Look, you go into the OR and you're going in for one operation. Do you want the surgeon to go, I don't like the way the knee looks, we're going to do a knee replacement while she's under? You would sue the bastard. It's almost the same thing. If it's no, it's no.
We got a raised hand from Michaela.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you.
What, baby? Was
I-
that an
I-
amen hand or you had a question hand?
Yeah, no, just give thanks for you and your candid expression about literally blowing certain folks out the water. And I know that's probably why, like attracts likes. And let me just say, my name is Michaela Renee. It just looks like Michaela on there.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no, you're okay. She knows. But I have family that call me both, because I'm a little Latin and Irish Celtic sitting right here. So, and Nanacoke native. So I get it, my name twisted up all kinds of ways. But I wanted to say thank you, because in the community that I run, I think I'm really hard-nosed, and it's really good to see who I say as my beautiful elders. I call you Mama Corbie. That, oh, well, I'm following the lead because they're like, the Chuck E. Cheese bonk. Sit back down, bonk. No, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh God, yes. Like, you've got to be strong enough to say, hey, that's BS. That doesn't work. You cannot speak that way. These are not truthful things. And that's regardless of being in the craft, as whether they're doing Wicca, voodoo, Ifa, witchcraft, just as a psychic, just reading tarot cards as a what do you call it, as a personality, not as a psychic, so anyways, I really appreciate what you were saying. I'm in agreement 100 right here, and I'm glad that I was able to come in and join you. I have all your books. So I enjoy it thoroughly. So thank you so very much. It's just been a beautiful time here to be able to see your personality.
Well, look, as Chipicon knows, this is the way I was when I was in my 20s, but without the compassion and without the self-amusement. I am not someone who's going to say my aura don't stink. In my 20s, oh baby. But for me, fluffing the words and pandering so people don't feel hurt, to me, is one of the falsest and worst things you can do. Because, I'm going to go to Kingsman. If you know that wonderful movie with Taron Egerton and Colin Firth, they don't pander there. First thing that the candidates for Kingsmen do is they go in and they write their name and the number and the next of kin on their body bags in case. And while we're not quite going there, when I teach, it is so strong and so sharp to the point that people learn and they remember it. Yes, I'm funny. Yes, I encourage. But I am not what I call glurpy purple with angels. Can't do it. Just ain't me. One of the things, God, we're running out of time. A couple of things real quick. How many times do we have to tell a client, you really have to learn to say no? And everyone has always said that to them, and it's like an omega brain, just doesn't fit. I got postcards made up. No is a fabulous idea. And on the back, I've written the tale of Sid, Moses' second cousin, and it's funny. And I hand this to them and they put it on their fridge, and I am always remembered because this is on the fridge. If there is what's this, 10 cents? If there's a little tchotchke, it's the Yiddish word, a little tchotchke that you could give them, just give it to them so that they remember you. So one of the other things is everyone says, well, what kind of books? I have a postcard that has 10, 12 books that I recommend to everybody, including my own on there. And I hand it to them. Now you've started them on the road of learning, and your name is on it with your website. Those are tiny business things that we can do that if you were going to a scrapbooking convention, every booth there would know to do that. Psychics don't think about it. But that's why when you get this book, it has chapter with part 1 is the basics, part 2 is the social approach, part 3 is the intangibles, part 4 is the keys to self-care, part 5 is the grab bag. And in the back, you're going to have examples of things like how to write up the available lectures that you would do at a psychic fair, how to do a sign-up sheet, etc. I'll tell you right now, get a sign-up sheet. It is important not only because it gives you your mailing list, but it will protect you. That 15 years ago in London, Ontario, I read a guy who was not happy with his reading. I found a death threat on my table the next morning. But because he had filled out the sign-in sheet, and I make everyone do it in their own handwriting, we were able to match the handwriting, and the show promoter was able to get the police on it.
Wow.
You have to think of those things these days. So,
One more question about your books.
yeah.
Are they available in formats other than print?
Yeah,
As in,
all of them are available as Kindle or paperback. And the one I didn't really talk about tonight, because it's a self-help book, Clean Out Your Life Closet, I did the audiobook for that as well. So yes, if you want to do a Kindle, you can get them on Kindle. Easy. Hi.
thank you.
Sure.
Now, if I could get you to do the others as audiobooks too.
I would love to do them, my darling, but it cost me $6,000 to do Clean Out Your Life Closet with
Ouch.
and
Ouch.
that's out of my pocket. It may never make its money back, but I wanted to do it. If somebody wants to underwrite doing these books as an audiobook, I know I'll go right down to Cathedral Studios in Troy and I will get them done for you. But that's what it would take.
Maybe try contacting the National Library Service.
They would let
Talking book
somebody
program.
else do the reading. My
Ah.
nonfiction books, I'm the voice. I did voiceovers in New York. It shouldn't be a problem. So
Okay.
that's why.
Just a
Anybody
thought.
else got a question before we have to wrap this puppy up? We've all gone silent and it looks like maybe we lost Chipicon. I think we lost Chipicon. All right.
I don't think so, because
Well,
if
she's
she's the
gone.
host, she has to be running the show.
Yeah, it happens on occasion.
That's
Well,
odd.
All right. Well, a couple things that I'm going to put in the chat since I can do that. If you want to go to the website, you'll see there's a lot of stuff on the website. There are well over 100 articles. There's a newsletter. There are columns. It's how to set up your appointments. I've had a website for about 20 years, and it's gone through lots and lots of changes. But that is where people are going to find you these days. Even if you just have a one-pager, they're going to look at you and they're going to go online and see if they can find you. So that's why, if you can, just a one-page website, you really are going to need that. Otherwise, you're going to get buried under everybody that has one.
As far as posting this podcast onto YouTube, I'm the one who's usually been doing it, so it may take a week or two before I can get it posted.
Okay.
And I'm trying to learn how, but it's a
All right,
painful
Chipicon,
process.
are you back? I thought we lost
I'm
you.
back. Yeah, we did. You did lose me. I had to reboot the modem and everything.
Ah,
I couldn't have waited 8 minutes.
It's all right.
Anyway,
hope
but it
that-
looks like it's time to thank everybody.
I hope this was useful for people.
it was.
This is
It
perfect
was.
for our audience. This is, I'm actually thinking it would be really great if we can get you. We're virtual again this year. We're going to be between, it's going to be online.
What's the
Saturday,
date?
Sunday is all day, and Monday through Friday, we're going to be doing evening workshops. And if we can get you, I love your psychic one-on-one idea. That sounds so good for us.
Sure.
That
November
I would love-
8th to 14th.
We'll see. My husband's having major surgery on November 16th, so I'm seeing it, but I
that-
won't say no. We'll see what goes. We'll see what goes.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, and we can. But yeah, I guess that's it. We want to remind people to check out Corbie's books and her website, and I think you may have been talking about that while I was gone. And Changing Times, Changing World's website and our Facebook page and all those other things. And I'm just gonna leave with my usual things that we're psychic, deal with it. And it's like,
Yes, yes, that's the way it is.
yeah, that's my bottom line, is like humans are psychic, get over it. It's like, and learn how to do it right, because my system has pretty much been making lots of mistakes and learning from them. It's so much more efficient to learn from other people before you make the mistakes. And if she's got these great books, that, you know, it's not too much. Well, so thanks everybody who came. Do tell your friends, because not everybody's available during a certain hour. That's why it goes on YouTube. So thanks everybody. Anybody else have anything to say before I push the button and stop?
Thank you for a very good show. I've enjoyed it.
And you get well. We'll be sending energy to you, because she's already given us permission.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Well, I think that there's blocks that are up. If you don't ask permission, it bounces off, whether it's healing or whatever. So.
No, I am actually tickled by the fact that so many people all over are sending me energy. I think that has a lot to do with the progress I've made.
I love it when people send a lot of energy to somebody, and the doctors are like, wow, look at how you're doing. Yeah, you think? I love the doctors who love to put science and spiritual practice together. They're the best.
Hard to find, but great when you get them.
Oh God, yes. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you all for being there, and the right button is here.
Be safe, guys.